I have been married for several years now, and our physical life remains one of the steady, quiet joys of our marriage. We make love regularly, vaginal intercourse. My husband's hands on me, his mouth on me, and it is consistently wonderful in the way that long familiarity makes things good, unhurried, attentive, and rooted in the fact that we belong to each other. Emotionally, I prefer vaginal intercourse by far. There is something about the physical joining, the weight of him, the direct eye contact, and the sense of being entered and held at once that feels like the purest realization of our bond. It is intimate in a way that goes far beyond sensory pleasure. I feel claimed and claiming at the same time, and that profound connection is what stays with me long afterward. Physically, oral sex is the most intense for me. When he uses his mouth, my body tightens, my breath changes, and the waves of pleasure build as if they must crest. Yet, they never do. I have never reached an orgasm with him. Not once in all these years of frequent, loving intimacy. I used to think that mattered more than it does. Society insists that climax is the central point, the necessary finish line, and the ultimate proof of success. That insistence is a deception and anxious, performance-driven narrative that turns closeness into a test. When climax becomes the sole measure of success, the test is failed repeatedly. Frustration settles in. He feels inadequate. She feels defective. And the room fills with pressure instead of genuine desire. Intimacy without climax is not a consolation prize. My body responds, opens, and receives pleasure. I feel desired, desiring, and wrapped in the tenderness of being known so thoroughly. That is enough. Once I stopped measuring our marriage against an external standard, I found deeper fulfillment and tranquility than I ever imagined. I must speak plainly about masturbation, because it once shaped me in ways I now regret. Before and early in my marriage, I masturbated regularly. It was the only way I reached peak. Those climaxes were sharp, reliable, and entirely solitary. At the time, it seemed harmless, but looking back, I see that it trained my body and mind to expect a level of control and intensity that partnered lovemaking rarely supplies. It cast a shadow over our real intimacy and made it harder to value what we shared. Stopping entirely was one of the best decisions I have ever made. Masturbation is not an alternative to marital intimacy when it becomes the only reliable path to climax. It quietly undermines the shared act by teaching the body a private script the marriage cannot follow. To other women, I encourage you to accept the circumstances of your own body and your marriage. Protect the space between you and your husband from that private intensity. Let your shared physical life be measured by connection, generosity, and presence rather than by a peak that may or may not arrive.